The SEC keeps finding things to dominate at, and everybody just seems to hate it. Guys, how do we feel about the Big 12?
We're talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
Yes, this is the SEC squad. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single day. Filling in for Chris Gordy of Locked On SEC. I'm Zach Blackerby, the host of Locked On Auburn. That's Stephen Willis, the host of Locked On Ole Miss. Luke Robinson, the host of Locked On Bama. Jay Smith, the host of Locked On Sooners. And Corey Burton, the host of Locked On Vandies. And there are several things that all of our teams have in common. We're all in the SEC, and we are also all covering a team that's one of the 14 teams that made the SEC. And guys, all season, we talked about how great the SEC was in basketball. It's like all of a sudden we care about this now. We're dominating. And it's like the rest of the country didn't believe us. It's like the rest of the country's like, there's no way 14 teams get in. And then they do. And guys, people are losing their minds, and I love all of it.
It's fantastic. It's absolutely great. It's so great that everybody's focusing on that instead of the fact that the committee director was an athletic director that got $100,000 to get NC North Carolina into March Madness. Nobody's talking about that. West Virginia is losing their mind. They're doing the whole Florida State litigation thing. It's just an amazing day.
Oh, the collective just heads exploding over SEC dominance on another sport that the SEC is not supposed to dominate at.
And it's not even softball season.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, Corey. I think it's like, okay, the Big 12 and the ACC, they had college basketball. That was their domain. The Big 10, I think, was, for a long time better than the SEC as well. And I think it's just kind of snuck up on them. Where all of a sudden, like, oh my goodness, there are so many elite coaches throughout the SEC. There are so many elite players throughout the SEC. And now all of it, now Chris Marler, host of Locked On Gamecocks, now we don't all have that in common. We are now joined by a team that is dragging the conference down, Chris Marler. But I mean, guys, seriously, I think this kind of snuck up on the rest of the country.
Well, look as a long-standing member of the SEC, one of the things that I always expected that we would always be the highest representatives in the tournament. And it kind of cracks me up, though, that the Big 12 is crying and bellyaching the way they were, because they weren't crying and bellyaching last year when Oklahoma was left off with the exact same record they have this year, with the exact same number of quad one wins as they had last year. We didn't get any of that love. Why is it all of a sudden now a conspiracy? C-O-N-spiracy. It's not that. Y'all just ain't good enough. It just was what it is.
If South Carolina had the same record as North Carolina this year, no way they're letting South Carolina in. North Carolina only got in because of the blue blood status, which, again, I'm not totally against as an Alabama football fan, but they also get in because they have their AD on the committee, which everybody says that didn't do anything. Well, he only got like $110,000 bonus for them getting in. And look, again, I'm not saying it happened. I'm also not saying it didn't happen. So I think that, look, if we could have, we would have snuck LSU and South Carolina in this thing. Our strength of schedule was bananas. Look at who Auburn and Alabama played the top seeds, the number one seeds. They played them a total of 5 times, and they didn't even play Duke. They played Houston, Auburn twice, and Florida twice. Auburn played them 4 times. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Can we pause the bashing on North Carolina just for 1 second? I do want to put the disclaimer out there. North Carolina missed the tournament last year, and he missed that same bonus. I just want to put that out there. I just want to be fair. Please just go back to bashing North Carolina.
Was he the chairperson last year?
He was.
Okay, so here's my thing.
The vice chair actually helped this time, but yes.
I hate when we do hypotheticals in sports unless I'm the one driving the narrative.
Drive it.
You were going to come
Drive
in
it,
and
Marler.
say, if you're going to come in and say
Drive it like
that, like Danny Cannell, Nicole Auerbach, Ari Wasserman, that entire group, this little fraternity of anti-SEC bias crap that came in all football season and then made the same one joke over and over and over again. Can you imagine if who's it, Del Conte, that's the AD at Texas, if that guy was the chairperson for this and was a bubble team that was like right on the fringe? Dude, they were 1-11 in quad one games. They were 1-11. By the way, Duke, listen, I will join in on the slander for the entire ACC. I put up this graphic last week. I know I sent it to Zach. Auburn going into the SEC tournament had 10 ranked wins. That was 3 more than the entire ACC conference had in the regular season. That win that Duke had against Louisville on Sunday or on Saturday in the ACC championship, that's the first ranked win they've had in 101 days, dating back to December 4th. There are 14 teams in this conference that have the same amount or more ranked wins than Duke does in the ACC. It's unbelievable.
Hey, look, let's also say this about North Carolina. I mean, I guess they're getting credit for playing Duke close in the tournament when they didn't have 2 of their best players. And
right.
They can't even stay. They commit a lane violation trying to tie the score. That should disqualify you from the NIT, from a Scrabble tournament. It should disqualify you from anything. I mean,
well, the fact that they got in there and it was like you heard the open reasoning as to why they did it. They're like, well, listen, they should have beaten them. Luke, you just made a great point. They should have beaten them, but they did it without their 2 best players and arguably the best player in the country, arguably the best player in the country. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they were like, well, no, yeah. What the reason why is because they should have won. Well, guys, there's a reason they play 35 games going into the postseason and March Madness, because we had an entire sample size for several months that showed you didn't deserve to be in there. You were 1-11 in quad 1 games. So the fact that 2-10 would have made that much of a difference is insane.
Guys, let's welcome John Miller, the host of Locked On Mizzou, another team that has made the NCAA tournament, one of the 14. John Miller, how are we feeling?
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's go. All of us Marler very happy today, which I think is great. Guys, I think we buried the lead here, though. I mean, we focus on North Carolina, which is funny, no question. But West Virginia's governor is suing the NCAA. Like, that's a thing that's happening right now. Like, what an amazing thing to happen. And it seems like they're more upset about the SEC success than North Carolina getting it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if that governor called Ron DeSantis down in Florida to try and figure out how to sue the NCAA or the College Football Playoff Committee or whatever Florida State's crying about not being in a tournament. So it's just an interesting situation. West Virginia absolutely belonged into the field. They did.
I do agree with
quad
you.
1 wins than Vanderbilt.
This is just, as somebody said on one of my shows today, it's a miscarriage of justice, basically, allowing North Carolina to get in over West Virginia. But you know whose fault that's not? The SEC's.
There you go.
That doesn't mean the SEC's not good. That means that everybody else is very mid.
Here's the other thing. We've everybody in this group and everybody in the SEC and really everybody everywhere has been hosed at one point or another by the NCAA tournament. I think suing the NCAA is just dumb and just a political, politicking crap.
Unless you're Diego Pavia.
Yeah. Well, look,
thank you, Diego.
A little
we
bit
love
different
you.
reason. Suing the NCAA for this reason is stupid, and it's just politicking, trying to win some votes. And look, here's the other thing. We're fighting over who essentially was the 68th or 67th or 69th best team.
Nice.
And that's why, and everybody's going to use this as, this is why we got to expand.
Right.
Holy cow, how many more games do we need to see to know that North Carolina's not good enough to win this thing?
Thank you.
Luke, I got to say, I will tell you right now, I agree with everything you just said. As a longstanding hater of the NCAA, it's just nice to see someone else carry out the work of what Logan Young was trying to do to the NCAA 25 years ago.
Logan.
And I'm RIP Logan. We all know what happened. We'll talk about it in another episode, but I think I'm excited. Anytime the NCAA is in trouble, which seems to be a lot lately, I'm all for that.
So
and we were sitting there in the NCAA thing. If you want to talk about Ole Miss, you had Pat Forty and Dan Wolken and the army of the NCAA apologists coming after Ole Miss.
Aren't they great,
though?
Man, they're great.
Yeah, they spent 2 years basically talking like Hugh Freeze and Ole Miss was Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy running around just victimizing everybody. And screw the NCAA.
Was Wolken wearing a mask while he was doing it?
Probably.
Okay. All right. So who likes their seeding in the NCAA tournament? Who does not? All that is next right here on the SEC squad.
Is he a furry?
Today's show brought to you by our friends at Upwork. Luke Robinson, can you imagine trying to scale your business and not using Upwork?
It's just insanity.
No. Yeah. Like nobody's going to do that. Chris Marler, do you love flexibility when it comes to connecting with top freelance talent across multiple industries?
Before the outside of the I before E rule, except for C, it's my favorite thing, brother.
I love that. John Miller, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the importance of finding the right talent for your team?
I would say 11 billion.
There we go. You can visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork, UPWORK, Upwork.com. That is Upwork.com to connect with top talent, and you can grow your business today. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Fabric. Jay Smith, you've got a family. Taking care of your family is important. Would you agree?
Yeah, I got to make sure I do that at least once a week.
Yeah, sure. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. Corey Burton, how important would you say peace of mind is when it comes to managing your family's finances?
Well, it's the utmost 11 billion%.
Yeah, I think so. Stephen Willis, you know the answer to this. How long do you think it takes to get set up with Fabric?
Oh, I think you could probably do that in about 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, maybe less.
Clicks here and there. You're
join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/LockedOnCollege. That is MeetFabric. Fabric is spelled Fabric. Meetfabric.com/LockedOnCollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Thank you so much for making the SEC Squad your first listen every single day. And, of course, we encourage you to make your favorite SEC team. Just search Locked On, your favorite SEC team. Make that your first listen every single day. Who feels like they got hosed by the NCAA selection committee? Who does not like their situation in the NCAA tournament? Jay Smith, your hand went up first. What do you not like about where the Sooners are?
I mean, we got a 9 seed, which is cool. I'm glad that we got acknowledged and got into the tournament, but we're playing UConn first, and we're right behind that is freaking Florida.
Congrats.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, anybody that got a 9 seed or an 8 seed, for the most part, got hosed because the number ones this year are really good. There's a lot of actual talent at the top in the 1s and 2 seeds. I would have loved to have been like an 11 where we had a chance to go a little bit deeper in the tourney and then see that number 1. But yeah, I think that spot got us a little hosed, but hey, I'm just happy that we're dancing.
There's a got screwed because they seeded you too high, is what you're saying.
Right.
I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Steven, that's kind of been your argument too, as far as where you wanted Ole Miss to be seated. You raised your hand. How did Ole Miss get screwed here?
Once the regular season's over with, the record, the quad ones, the whole 9 yards, it goes out the window. It's a new season. And North Carolina and San Diego State, they played for a national championship in 2022 and 2023. Both of them did. And they both have the talent. This would be like being drawn up against Arkansas. They have NBA players and people that can get after you. And they might be young, they might not be, but there's different ways they can beat you. It's not like playing a typical mid-major, to where if they just get hot, there's really 1 or 2 ways that they can pull the upset. This team can just absolutely get on a heater and out-athlete you a little bit. So that's a little bit scary for an Ole Miss team that doesn't have the high-end players that other teams in the SEC have. So if Ole Miss gets through this first-round game, I mean, they could go all the way to Elite Eight. I mean, they literally could do that. I don't see any problem necessarily getting there. They have the talent to do that. This first game is going to tell the tale, whether it's North Carolina or San Diego State.
John Miller, you raised your hand very politely. Don't let Marler talk. Go ahead.
I will not. So here's the thing. I have kind of a Missouri take, but also a bigger picture take too, which is that a lot of people have been talking about how the conference tournaments don't really have a lot of bearing on your seed in March Madness anymore. Well, what it does seem like is head-to-head matchups have a bearing on your seed, because if you look at KenPom, for example, you got Missouri 15, Kentucky 16, Texas A&M 17, and yet Missouri a 6, Kentucky a 3, Texas A&M a 4. Well, what do Texas A&M and Kentucky have in common? They both beat the Tigers at Mizzou Arena. So it seems like, rightly or wrongly, the committee is really taking those intra-conference matchups very much into consideration.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marler. Sorry about that.
So I think that Mizzou got screwed because of that. But I think also, like, the only team I think that is really way too high in the SEC is Kentucky. Like, Kentucky finished 22-11. I jokingly said this after they got a 3 seed. I wonder how many more games they could have lost and still been a 3 seed, because it seemed like they were on that line no matter what for a while. Like it was just, there was nothing they could do wrong. Mizzou goes on the road and beats a Florida team. Like I said, it was like a month and a half ago, but I guess if we're going to be a prisoner of the moment, they don't deserve that. The team that got screwed outside of that, I think Mississippi State as an 8 seed is too low, and they don't have any super like multiple great wins on their resume.
Okay.
But Auburn is the number 1 overall seed, and they are going to potentially play in the second round an 8 seed. And I'm not great at math, guys. Steven, you are. So if you are, or everyone else, like if you are an 8 seed, what that tells me is you're probably ranked between 29th and 32 in the country. That would make sense, right? Well, someone explain to me how the hell Auburn is going to go into the state of Kentucky, where Louisville is, last time I checked, and have to face an 8 seed Louisville in the second round, who is currently ranked number 10 in the country. That's a joke. Like, it wasn't that they were a 1 seed; they were the number 1 overall seed.
But they shouldn't be ranked that high. They shouldn't be ranked that high.
I think Zach's right. I think Zach's, because here's the thing: the AP rankings and all that. I think they've got it screwed up, and I think the committee is sort of looking at it with Vegas eyes sometimes and going,
"Yeah, that's fair."
Louisville probably isn't the number 13 team in the country. I don't care what anybody says.
When this came out, Auburn fans were upset. I was shocked. I saw the list. I saw the bracket. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And then I get on Auburn's corner of Twitter and all of that. And I actually think Auburn plays Creighton too. But I was shocked at how upset everybody was because of this. And I'm like, I like this draw. I like this draw a ton. So I've seen that argument already, Chris. And I don't disagree with you, Marler.
Let me say this about Kentucky. I think Chris hit on something that, it's like sometimes Kentucky was apparently just gonna be a 3 no matter how bad they play. Alabama beat the brakes off of them, or how many people get hurt. I mean, I don't mind reward. If somebody gets hurt, remember Kenyon Martin got hurt, and they still gave Cincinnati a 1 seed or a 2 seed or whatever, and then they exited early because they weren't the same team. But you can't really punish the team. I get that, and it goes back to the whole thing about which I hated when everybody said, "Well, they're playing so hot down the stretch," and I'm like, "Yeah, but they were hot garbage at the beginning of the year. That should matter." I'm much more body of work, and that's why I'm glad Auburn. I hate to say it. I'm glad Auburn got the number 1 overall seed.
Well, you can't do both, right? I don't think you can give Auburn the number 1 overall seed.
You would give it to Florida otherwise.
Right. If it matters what you did lately, then Florida should have been the number 1 overall seed.
I think it's
also
also weird to me.
Lately, Vandy's not in the field, so
also true.
That's true.
It also feels weird to me sometimes, the NCAA tournament, because it's like they act like they put so much work into this bracket and how long it takes to Joe Lunardi has just been he's basically like a weatherman for the last 5 months. That's all he's doing. It's incredible. Best job in America.
Rolling his sleeves up.
He's like an accurate one every single year too. It's amazing.
You can't tell me that Kansas and Arkansas to go play Rick Pitino in round 2 was because of some kind of geographical thing or anything other than, that would have a lot of eyeballs in it. That's going to sell a lot.
Right. In Providence, by the way.
Right.
That's just coincidence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way,
by the way.
I was going to say Missouri and Kansas, that huge rivalry. Possibly they could meet up in the Sweet 16. I don't think that's a coincidence either.
I like that.
I don't think they are either, but I'm just saying it could happen.
Listen, and then this has changed the subject just a little bit, but Brandon's not here, and I don't want him to think I'm going after the Florida Gators. But what is it with Florida? They had Billy Donovan, who was basically a grown-up Eddie Munster, and now they have Eddie Haskell as their coach.
How good does Florida have to get, by the way, to get Brandon to show up?
They had cousin Eddie, so they like the Eddie thing.
Is Brandon, is he convinced that he should be fired? Because they there might not be a better team in the country. And I think I've said this to Steven for a minute. I was like, or at least we talked about it. Like, I've said this since late January. Auburn has the best resume in the country. I still believe Bama has the most talent on their roster, too deep and everything like that, than any team in the country. But Florida is, I think, maybe the best team in the country. And you saw them just go run roughshod over everybody in that tournament.
I think they've played the best basketball over the last, month or so. I would agree
for sure.
That.
For sure. But then it's how much of that I mean, just from the Auburn perspective, we won the SEC tournament last year. And
that's
then
the question.
We get Yaled. I mean, there's not a whole lot of correlation about SEC tournament success and how far they have runs in there, right? Alabama went to the Final Four a year they won it. Auburn went to the Final Four a year that they won it. But there's also plenty of examples of teams winning it and getting bounced early. So it's everybody's picking Florida to go far, and I agree. I 100% agree, but I don't know. Like, we haven't really seen a team go on a run and win the SEC tournament, then win the national championship. Like most people
I'll tell you what I think happens, Zach. I think, for example, like Auburn last year, I think when you go on that big run in a conference tournament, it can leave you more vulnerable early in those early round games. But if you just get past the first and second round, I don't think there is a lot of correlation on who then wins the national title. I think there's a lot of teams that won the title and won their conference tournament.
Yeah.
Well, historically speaking, as long as you don't have a player consistently try to get ejected from games in March, it's really a lot easier to extend your stay in the tournament. You know what I mean, Zach?
I mean, I imagine getting elbowed by Chad Baker Mazzara has to hurt, though.
I got to go back.
Yeah, emotionally.
I'm fascinated by Jay Smith's argument that he wishes he had a lower seed because it really brought back some memories of when I was at Alabama, and that's how I approached being out late night at the bar. I was like, look, I could try and go for an 8 early and get rejected, but if I stay long enough, I'm going to get one of those lower
5-12
seeds.
game, it's always the sweet
I
spot.
always play the 5-12 game as the sweet spot, baby. Upset
Cinderella story.
All right, let's take a stab at who could win the national championship.
Vandy?
Does Vandy have a shot? That's next on the SEC squad. Hey, today's show is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. More money.
Money.
More
Money.
problems.
We all love it. We all love Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder where did all my money go? Between dining out and online shopping entertainment, it's easy to lose track with the FanDuel. I mean, maybe you're buying tickets. Maybe you're buying too many drinks, to get ready for all of the madness this month. Monarch Money is not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. Luke Robinson knows all about the command center. I mean, look at where he's at. He's fully equipped. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you just you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Let's give a quick round of applause for wealth building with Monarch Money.
Talking about Rich, talking
And also Luke's microphone.
Yes.
Y'all like that? It sounds better, doesn't it?
Oh
I
my
love
God,
it.
it's a million times better.
Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Thank you so much for tuning in to the SEC squad. Who did we lose?
Did Marler go get Monarch
shocker.
Money?
Shocker.
Where did he go?
He said he's in Atlanta and he has great internet now. No
I was about to
excuses.
compliment how good his internet connection was.
His
Is he
order
too
was ready at
busy?
Crystal.
He could do 2 segments, but the
Came
Big
and said
Ten one is
goodbye.
like this too. The Big Ten squad, there's so many of them are like, I could do 1 segment or I could do 2 segments. I'm like, how are you this busy where you can't do a full show with us, but you could do 2 segments?
Zach
was
is about to have
late,
his
too.
3rd child, and he's here for the whole time. Come on,
my
people.
wife might be in labor right now.
now,
I'm still
literally.
doing the
Right
SEC
now.
squad.
Right now.
I
At
don't
this
know.
moment.
Like, hold
There's
on,
a
honey.
baby
I'll drive
He's
you
like,
coming
you're gonna
out.
have to give it a minute.
Yeah, I'm
Marler
naming
had
my
to go down
3rd
to Crystal
kid
and pick up his
squad after this show right here. I'm dedicated to the game, baby. Let's
Hell
go.
yeah.
Baby coming.
Content overall.
How many SEC teams have a legitimate shot to win the national championship?
Ooh.
14.
3? 14. That's the correct answer. What's the second best answer?
13.
3.
Is it 3? Is
probably
it
I think 3.
in no particular order? Auburn,
I think it's
Florida,
4.
Bama?
I think it's 4.
Who's the 4th one, Stephen?
Tennessee.
Oh, sure.
See, it's Rick Barnes is their head coach. So I don't
So
know
we
if I
all
can
agree
actually believe in
Florida
it.
and Auburn, right?
He's going to have a game to where the offense just doesn't show up. If he happens to have the matchup to where that doesn't matter, he has a chance to get through that game and kind of wake up.
Fair.
See, Alabama's going to potentially have to get through Vandy in the 2nd round. So I don't know. Just kidding.
Well, Tennessee got
love
lucky
the
having
swag.
Houston as their 1 because they play the same style. It's just going to be like playing in a swamp, just dribbling in mud puddles.
No, it's going to be a boulder fight. It's not even going to be a rock fight.
So
Look at
Missouri has already
Tennessee's
beaten
path.
its 1 seed in its region, by the way, Florida. I think the Tigers have a top 5 offense in the entire country. I wish they were a little bit better defensively, obviously. Typically, I like to lean on teams who are better defensively to get to the Final Four. But I at least think Missouri can get that far. I think they've shown that upside.
I love that. I'm trying to find Missouri on my bracket.
Yeah, I'm
You don't have to look that far, buddy. They're 15th in Ken Palm, 6th seed. South region.
Do you know what thought I've kind of been having as this bracket's been going? Because Florida's looked great over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Absolutely fantastic. Just an absolute machine. The last time I saw somebody that looked like an absolute machine go into the NCAA tournament, it was UNLV in like 1991 with the Larry.
You haven't seen a team like that since 1991.
UConn looked pretty good last year and the year before.
But the hype around Florida, they're so explosive.
You think it's more than Kentucky 2015 when they lost
since
one game the entire year? I don't know about that.
Those
UNLV
teams were special, and Duke.
Well, they were, but I think there's been some good teams since then.
I wasn't even alive in 1991.
The point is, Duke beat.
Wait, you weren't alive in 1991?
No, Duke beat them in the Final Four.
I'm not the only one here.
Duke beat them in the Final Four.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, everybody had favorite players off that team. If you were that age, you're always picking you and everything.
Stacey Augmon.
Yeah, the plastic man.
Mine was Anderson Hunt for whatever reason.
LJ.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knew their starting 5, and
everybody did.
Yes, yeah. We don't have that nowadays. Too many one and done. Most of these kids are gone before they even get a chance to really get to know them.
Hey, can I throw something out real quick? Does it seem like anybody wants to pick Houston? It just seems like we're all over and bored with Kelvin Sampson.
Somebody did yesterday on the ESPN show. I don't know if it wasn't Willis, or at least they picked him to play Florida. I don't know if they picked
what drug was it? What drug induced that?
Oh, nice.
It's hard to say with Disney these days.
See, I feel like if Houston's name was just Kansas, I feel like a lot more people would be picking them. I feel like it's a lot of recent, history stuff.
Screw that. Yeah, I've got Florida and Houston in the finals.
I like it.
It's and those are some grown men playing basketball. I can tell you that. Houston's got some dudes.
I can't remember who I picked.
10th offense too.
And it reminds me,
Houston's good.
In the Big 12, I think that matters. I really do.
On Wednesday or tomorrow or at some point, I think I'm gonna go to watch the Phi Slamma Jamma 30 for 30.
Oh yeah.
Just to get in the mood.
Yeah, just to get
little NCAA tournament foreplay action.
I like that.
I do thank all of you for not bringing up the possibility of Alabama playing Auburn for a national championship in San Antonio, because nobody's ready for that, including me, including Zach.
Let's talk about it just for a second. What happens if that happens?
Harvey Updike raises.
Yeah, we'd have to bring him back.
Yeah, is he really gone? I just feel like he's hiding somewhere.
Yay, history.
Yeah.
What happens to Danny Cannell if that happens?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, the only person who'd be more irritated by that than Alabama and Auburn, because we just wouldn't like to give each other credit or anything. Danny Cannell would lose his mind.
He would be like George Michael Bluth from Arrested Development, just laying on the floor,
just coming in, throwing his backpack down.
Let me throw this out there. Over under SEC teams in the Elite Eight. If I said it at 3.5, what are y'all taking?
Under.
You don't really?
3.5's a big number, Zach. I got to go half the field then.
No, I'm going
too
over.
much.
I think 4 make it.
I think 4 make it. Yeah,
$1,000. Let's go.
Literally,
I'm taking 3.
No.
I'm taking 3, so I'll take the under.
I'm not going there far. I'm not touching it.
Yeah.
I would buy it down and take over. I'd buy the half.
Not enough.
And I think that 4th team could be the Ole Miss Rebels. In
Tigers,
the Elite
let's go.
So if Ole Miss makes, you could have Auburn, Ole Miss,
So Auburn,
Missouri,
Florida,
maybe
Tennessee,
Kentucky, A&M. There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Maybe I take the over.
Alabama.
Alabama's going to be there.
I mean, you could have Vandy, Bama in the second round and guarantee one in the Sweet 16. Same thing with Florida, Oklahoma. I mean, you could have, and then if you get there,
anything's possible. I mean, it's going to be if half of the teams win in the first round and you get 7 in the round of 32, like you got a shot at that point.
That's a fair point. This is payment for all of the anti-SEC squad people that was running around for what they did during the college football playoff. This is your comeuppance.
What SEC team do you think we need to win to help bolster the argument? I mean, Auburn's going to beat Alabama State or St. Francis. Bama's going to beat Robert Morris. All that stuff. Right?
We need Georgia beating the Zag.
I was going to say Mississippi State over Baylor.
That is it. That's Mississippi State beating Baylor and upsetting Duke If they did that,
I'm going to slightly disagree. I'm going to slightly disagree. I actually think it's Missouri and Drake because if you guys watched the CBS broadcast, the bracket reveal, everybody on the panel picked Drake because they think, well, they're the best scoring defense in the country.
That's a sign to take Mizzou
I do
right
think
there,
if
baby.
Missouri loses, no, for real, I think if Missouri loses that game, people are going to go, oh, the SEC was overrated, creation of ESPN. It was all just a narrative. I do think that's going to happen. So kind of an important game from that perspective, I guess.
My show on Tuesday is about a CBS Sports HQ guy that called Ole Miss the fraud of the NCAA tournament and guaranteed a first-round loss to North Carolina or San Diego State.
Wow.
So that would be he
Steve's
called
about to make a meal out of that.
Oh my goodness. I had one of the most beautiful first segments ever.
That show might feed families. Good for you.
Oh,
good for
his
you.
family.
Don't forget the little people down here in Nashville when you strike it rich on that episode.
No, that's the worst take ever. Calling an SEC team that won 10 games, including wins at Alabama, against Kentucky and against Tennessee, a fraud. Get the heck out of here.
That is pretty wild.
That is very wild,
but very aggressive too.
I mean, you had to have some good non-con wins too. I don't remember them offhand, but they
beat Louisville by 25 in their place.
Yeah, I knew it was.
Oh, that's all you need.
Yep, pack of frauds. Yeah, get out of here.
Sound like a pack of frauds to me.
As well.
Steve, go join the Big 12. You guys are frauds, man.
Yeah, seriously. It's like American Conference. I mean, we were going up against UAB in Memphis in the conference tournament.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so I was gonna say,
take us home, Corey.
The committee was all against Vandy too, so that'd be a nice little hoorah moment for the SEC if they beat St. Mary's in the first round because everybody's on the Gale bandwagon there.
Absolutely.
Hey, yes. By the way, this is the year that I learned that Mount St. Mary's and St. Mary's are two different places.
Good for you, man. I'm glad that happened for you. It's exciting.
That was a big moment for me.
This is huge. So
bonus points. Where are both those places located?
Mount St. Mary's is that North Carolina or something like that?
I want to say yes.
Mount St. Mary's is in Ohio.
Wow, those aren't the same.
This has been a tough ending, I gotta say. We should have cut it off after Corey.
St. Mary's is in California, right?
Yeah, that one is. Yeah, that one I'm aware of. The Gales are
good.
in California.
Good.
Yes.
All right. If any Mount St. Mary's fans comment down below, we'd love to hear from you. Maybe you can host Locked On Mount St. Mary's. That'd be fascinating. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Oh, nobody was right. All right.
We were way off. Samsonite.
That's John Miller, host of Locked On Mizzou. Jay Smith of Locked On Sooners. Corey Burton, host of Locked On Vandy. Luke Robinson, host of Locked On Bama. Stephen Willis of Locked On Ole Miss. I'm Zach Blackerby, host of Locked On Auburn. Thank you so much for tuning in to the SEC Squad.
What's all this 1 in a million talk?
What?